DC team. Welcome, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Martin Ezima, as my colleague Laurie rightly introduced. You could have been busy doing something else this afternoon, but you chose to hang out with us, so we appreciate it. We're going to have a very wonderful afternoon with you, simply to show you that we recognize it's COVID, but that does not mean that we cannot continue to do international business. Prince George's County has the ability, the resources to support you to go global. With no further ado, we are going to move on this event quickly so that way we respect everybody's time. The order is going to be, the first hour will be following the agenda, but then we dedicated another hour for folks that want to hang around to ask questions. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. Thank you very much. All right, in the order of, based on our agenda, of course, I've introduced Laurie. Is there anybody else from the EDC team? Let me see. Okay, there's nobody else that needs to speak. Okay, John Mason, please, quick introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Mason. I am with the Economic Development Corporation. I'm one of the business development directors there. We're helping existing businesses within the county to grow and expand. And we're so excited about the fact that we're definitely going global, and really appreciate you all being a part of this session. I think you'll definitely consider it a great use of your time today. So if you need anything from us in the EDC, we are definitely willing to help with anything you might need. So thank you again, Martin, and thank everyone for joining.
Right, anybody else with the EDC team? Let me look down, guys, see whom else I see here. Or else, I think we are going to proceed according to our agenda. We're going to have a brief remark, an introduction from some of our partners. We have our federal partners here, Andrew Glass. Andrew Glass, can you post his wonderful bio a little bit, and post a little bit of his information, and let him get going.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for joining. And thank you to the Economic Development Corporation of Prince George's County for allowing me to present today and to talk a little bit about the U.S. Commercial Service. So I'm a commercial officer with the Baltimore U.S. Export Assistance Center, which is part of the International Trade Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. Next slide, please. And our mission is really to help you grow your exports and to grow your business abroad. And we do that through a network of domestic U.S. export assistance centers, like the office I work out of in Baltimore, as well as our foreign service officers at embassies and consulates across the globe. Next slide, please. So we are where you are in the world and also where you want to be. And as you can see on this map, we are in more than 95% of US export markets and 75 embassies and consulates around the world. And when we are not located as commercial service officers, we have our economic officers from the State Department helping us out and performing our services in those markets. And we have global relationships and expertise in every major industry sector. So we have commercial specialists who serve at these embassies and consulates and who are locally employed staff. And they are the real experts on their industry sector in their local market. They oftentimes have decades of experience that they bring to bear in support of US companies pursuing global deals. And your local trade specialist, an individual like me or one of my 4 other colleagues in my office in Baltimore, we're here to help you and to counsel you and to connect you to these resources across the globe so that you can expand your international business. And now I'll take you through a little bit of our specific services and how we can help you go global and secure global deals. So as I mentioned, we are here to walk with you on every step of your journey in terms of your export growth. We help you develop an export strategy. We can perform background checks for you on foreign partners. If you get a foreign inquiry and you're not sure who you're doing business with, we can look into them for you. We provide matchmaking overseas, where we have our foreign posts can go out and actually look for partners for you. We provide overseas counseling. We promote your product overseas through a service we call a single company promotion. And we help you understand regulations and compliance. So things that you need to abide by and you need to know before selling your products and services abroad. Next slide. Here's just a few of those services that we offer. One is our initial market check, where we have our post on the ground, do an initial investigation and report back if a market's going to be good for your product, and if we're getting good market intelligence about your product and your likelihood for success. We do an international partner search, which is finding you that partner to work with abroad. Maybe it's a distributor or potential customers abroad. We do international company profiles, and that is the due diligence and the background checks to make sure that you're working with folks abroad who are reputable and who are known to our embassies and consulates. We do our gold key matchmaking service, which this is really our Cadillac service that we offer. When we are able to travel, we offer this service, and that is you travel to the market and we set up a few days of meetings for you, and we actually attend the meetings with you and assist you get from place to place and help you with those international negotiations. And then finally, we offer a single company promotion where we provide a spotlight on your product. And this can oftentimes be an event held at an embassy or a consulate. And we'll have a high-level speaker, somebody senior in the organization, speak and kick it off, and then invite local businesses and local decision makers to come see your product or your service. So this is just one of the services that I just spoke about, and that is that matchmaking. We provide customized market and industry briefings, post-meeting and follow-up strategies to those in-market matchmaking. We help you with your travel and interpreter services if that's something that you need. And of course, those ever-valuable appointments with prospective partners. We help you secure those. So this is our contact information. I know I've spoken rather quickly about our products and services, but the key takeaway is as a foreign service officer with the Department of Commerce, we are here to help you on your export growth journey. We're here to help you make international sales. This is our contact information. We are located in Baltimore, and we're here to help Maryland companies in any way that we can. So thank you again for having me as a speaker today. And I look forward to discussing any questions that you may have, maybe offline and as a follow-up in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. What we're going to do, we're going to connect the MBA students with what Andrew's office, some of the interactions that they had. This will come after this presentation. I want you to know that every single presenter today has some support that they've offered to the MBA students, and we're going to elaborate on that a little bit more so you can see the connecting point. This doesn't need to be a rocket science. We need to keep it very, very simple. Thank you very much. Next on the speaker will be Faye Nwoko. I know she's going to do this by audio. If you have Faye's picture, you could just post it there. She'll give you her title, who she works for, and she'll just give you a quick brief. Faye, I know you are the person that is on 410 number, so give the 410 number access. 410340. Very good. Faye, are you there?
Yes, Martin, thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be joining you today. I hope that you and your families are all staying safe and healthy. And I want to thank Martin and the Prince George's County EDC for having me and having me be part of this program today. My name is Faye Nwoko, and I am the Maryland Department of Commerce Business Development representative assigned to serve in Prince George's County. There are 11 other colleagues like myself who are based geographically to assist businesses in the state of Maryland. I work very closely with our regional partners in Prince George's County to provide access to Maryland commerce programs, in addition to a broad range of business needs, including sources of funding, customer supplier connections, workforce, and so much more. I'm going to start off by highlighting or echoing some of Governor Hogan's recent announcements, and then go into talking about our Office of International Investment and Trade. Again, like I said, I want to begin by echoing some of Governor Hogan's recent announcements on the forgiveness of $75 million in emergency loans. This is to provide additional economic relief. The governor has directed the Department of Commerce, the Maryland Department of Commerce, to forgive $75 million in emergency loans that the state has provided to businesses during the first round of economic relief in March, and to convert those loans, all of them, to grants. More information on this will be forthcoming as it becomes available. And I know that the EDC, Prince George's County EDC, is always very good with highlighting these announcements on their website. So between the state's website and the EDC website, you will find that information there. Governor Hogan also announced late in October that he was putting another $250 million into Maryland's COVID-19 relief efforts. This doubles the state's commitment to $500 million. These funds are also broken into very specific ways, which include new sources of funding for businesses, as well as more funding to help businesses who already apply to some of our programs. The new source includes $50 million in new direct relief for restaurants in Maryland. Commerce will be and has already allocated some of these funds to counties and Baltimore City so that they can disperse the grants to their businesses. The way this worked was each county share was proportioned and determined by the number of restaurant establishments that they have. Commerce also provided details and grant agreements to the local jurisdictions. Applications and distributions for these funds will be handled at the local level. Lastly, on this funding piece, the governor also set aside $100 million as an emergency rapid response fund for small businesses. This will allow the states to deploy these funds quickly in the future, and then make a determination about how that $100 million will be used. So now let me go into talking about our Office of International Trade and International Investment and Trade. Our office at the Maryland Department of Commerce, we have different agencies within our unit. The International Investment and Trade Office is one of them, and they focus on supporting the state in 3 areas: assisting companies to export, attracting foreign investment to the state, marketing Maryland internationally. A few of the exporting resources that we have available to help you grow your export are the following. We have free 20 hours of consulting assistance from any of our 16 foreign offices. We have funding up to $5,000 in grants to small companies for export marketing activities. Right now, because of everything that has happened with COVID, we do have a lot of funding left for this year, and we encourage you, if you're interested in this, to reach out to our office and inquire about how to apply, or my contact information is projected. You can reach out to me directly, and I can help you get connected to our international team. This exporting resources also covers travel, such as airfare, hotels, shipping sample products, compliance testing for foreign markets, export research subscription services, website internalization, which includes setting up your website to receive international payments, translation, including video and audio, internalization, the U.S. Department of Commerce can provide assistance to you to help you redirect your website to an international audience. This program also covers digital advertising, including online markets, listing fees, and ad placement in foreign markets. The program also reimburses 2/3 of the cost of up to 2 U.S. Department of Commerce services, such as their export tech, their Gold Key program, and other services. And then it also provides subsidized participation in virtual or in-person trade shows and missions. Like I said, this information will be on our website as well if you want to apply to the Export Assistance Program. The program also does referrals to our partners, such as the Export-Import Bank, U.S. Export Assistance Center, the Center for Global Business, and so on. For more information, you can either visit our website at commerce.maryland.gov, or you can reach out to me via email at faye.nwoko@maryland.gov. And I'm sure this information is already projected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Faye. This is a very important information. We're not going to pretend that everybody knows how to spell Nwoko. If you can, you're going to win an award.
Oh, let me say it again. I'm sorry. It is Faye, first then Faye, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, Y, yellow, E, elephant, dot, Nwoko, N as in Nancy, WOKO at maryland.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. And when in doubt with your spelling bee challenges, you can always reach out to me, Laurie, John Mason, and Jordan. So you're in good hands. It's international, you're international space, so get comfortable with really long, easy names for an average American to pronounce. So welcome on board. Buckle up your seatbelt. We still got a lot of good stuff coming up. Our next presenter is going to be Marina. She's the Associate Director, Center for Global Business, Robert H. Smith School of Business, University of Maryland. Our pride and joy. As you can see, the progression at which we're going. We started with broad federal government. We drilled down to the states a little bit. We drilled down now to our local partner, which is the University of Maryland. And then the next is going to be our local business. So Marina, can we get you ready? Post her image, picture, and then her bio, and then we'll get going. Thank you.
I also think I have a slide that has some information on it. But speaking of difficult last names, I have a difficult Greek last name, which I noticed you did not pronounce.
I left it alone out of politeness.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining, and thank you to Martin and the PGC EDC as well for bringing me into today's conversation. So my name is Marina Augustidis. I am the Associate Director of the Center for Global Business at the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, as Martin mentioned. Just before I go through a couple of the bullet points on the slide, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background of the Center for Global Business and how we fit in with the federal, state, and local partners, as Martin mentioned. The center is the hub and driver of global education and activity at the Smith School. Our mission of the center is to connect the diverse members of the Smith School community to the world and the world to the Smith School. We provide these members and partners with opportunities to gain a global mindset and build international business skills. And most importantly, especially for today's topic, we serve Maryland as a Maryland resource center for companies seeking to take their goods into the global marketplace. The center is also one of 15 nationally recognized centers across the country to have been awarded a Title VI grant known as SIBE. The SIBE grant is administered by the U.S. Department of Education, and it supports many of our activities, including the Maryland Global Export Consulting Program. And it expands our mission outside the campus to industry, to you all, and other economic institutions such as MSIs and community colleges as well. So for today's presentation, and I will be the star of the show are the students. I wanted to talk quickly about the Maryland Global Consulting Program. This program was established in partnership with the Maryland Department of Commerce, specifically the Office of International Investment and Trade, and Faye referred to some of the programming at MDOC, and this is also one of the programs that they work with us on as well. So how the Global Consulting Program works, if you are a company in Maryland looking to expand globally or solve an international business challenge, such as maybe market analysis or market entry strategy, you can consult with a student team. You could either work with an MBA team or an undergraduate team during the fall or spring semesters. The project that you will learn about today was an MBA project with Insight Engineering, and that was sourced through our partnership again with the Maryland Department of Commerce. And then the project is matched with MBA students or undergrad students, as I mentioned, interested in the project. And you may, as a company, you may select have an influence in the type of students that end up working on your project. Other consulting projects, they can be aligned with traditional functional areas such as logistics, marketing, global website globalization, data analytics, or strategy. Our faculty member for the MBA team does advise the MBAs, and we do have a faculty member who advises the undergrads as well. So they work with the faculty member throughout the semester to make sure that they're kept on track and they're learning general consulting skills as well in working with the client themselves. There is a minimal cost to the program. So it's a $2,000 fee for the an MBA team and $1,000 for the undergraduate team. So very minimal compared to going to a client, consulting. The other program that I wanted to talk about today was at Export Tech. I'm sorry, Martin, I think, yes. Was Export Tech. And this is a company or a project, or I'm sorry, an activity that Faye also mentioned through the Maryland DC District Export Council. They are now accepting applications for January 2021. You, as a client, can receive a structured export strategy that obviously accelerates your company's growth. And it is a nationally recognized program, and you will get a written export plan as you come out of that program. But I do want to focus on the Global Export Program today and let you know that I am here for questions if you have them, and you can always feel free to contact me at my email if you are also interested even in a project for this upcoming spring. The email address is M as in Mary, AUGOUST@umd.edu. Thank you.
Excellent, Marina. Thank you so much. And thank you for saving me from having to pronounce your last name. So you guys are all international troopers. So everyone, again, the order at which we're going, you see progressively how important everybody's role is. We're going to have a dialogue. I know there's a lot of information overload. Don't worry about it. We will get to it. We'll circle back. I know some of you may have questions. We're just going to move this quick and so that we can condense it a little bit. The next in the presentation is going to be our business partner, Tony Vass. He is the CEO and owner of Insight Engineering. Mr. Tony Vass is just going to speak with you. He's actually the one that has been referenced that the MBA students in the last 4 months or 3 months or so, collectively, we've all worked together on this. So Mr. Tony Vass, the floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate the introduction here. and I appreciate this opportunity to talk to all of you. We are civil engineers, construction managers, and real estate developers in the region, and we also are entrepreneurs. So, you know, I, I want to talk to you about how this all came about. The U.S. Department of Commerce, we're having a series of webinars over the past 6 or 7 months on Latin America, and we attended those webinars. Those webinars were very insightful. We got to know some of the commercial officers, and we exchanged notes and so forth. And we were very interested in what Latin America had to offer. So with that, we started contacting some of these folks at the U.S. Department of Commerce. We've worked with Isa Jones. We worked with Felicia Pullman at the Maryland Department of Commerce. We worked with Martin Azim on several fronts. I've used all the services that the U.S. Department of Commerce has provided with the Gold Key services. I've gone to China, Korea. We've done some business in Malaysia and so forth. And all that has come about through the nexus of government sector, working with the private sector, working with academia. So I believe in that model. I believe that model works. So I encourage a lot of companies that's on this call or whoever that's interested in international business to go after these, you know, to put these together on a long-term perspective. This is going to be a long-term project that's going to come into fruition probably about 6 months to 12 months from now. But there's a lot of resources out there like the DFC, the US TDA. It's a matter of compiling all these agencies together and integrating all these agencies together and figure out your risk and executing on a project. So with that, this is not about us. This is really about these students. These are not students, these are executives. They're young executives. I want to introduce them to you. Just an amazing, I also want to tell you this, you know, Fausto and I are partners on this project that we're going after in Latin America. Fausto is based in California. We worked on projects together. So all we did was spend maybe 4 hours with these 6 executives that are MBA students, that happen to be MBA students, and I commend them for taking on the MBA too. So they have all, I think they'll be graduating next week, hopefully with A's in this class anyway. This was a capstone project for them. So, you know, we spent about maybe 5 hours with them, but we gave them a vision. All we did was give them a mission and a vision and showed them some of the projects we have executed in country. So with that, I want to introduce you to Huang. Huang is the Director of Financial Analysis and Business Support at Marriott International. Okay. And then Tony is the Senior Cyber Tech Consultant at Capital One. Amelia is the Director of Operations at Potomac River Partners. It's a consulting firm. Bola is a management and program analyst at the International Trade Administration. Kevin is the financial analysis with the Navy Bureau of Personnel. And James is a business executive at Fairfax County Public Schools. Now it's all, you know, you can please pay attention to what they have to present right now. And all this was done in a matter of 5 hours of us giving them some instructions. So with that, please take it away.
Thank you, Tony, and thanks for working with us this semester. I'm going to share a presentation we've put together, which shows a little bit of the work we've done over the past few months. So as Tony mentioned, we are a group of 6 MBA students from the University of Maryland, Smith School of Business. We've got myself, Huang, Tony, James, Bola, and Kevin. And we've had a really good time working with Insight on this project. They've been really wonderful, enthusiastic, supportive folks to work with. So we want to give a big thank you to them, to Fausto, who's the partner on this project, to Martin for being there for us for our calls and all our questions, and organizing this webinar, to Marina, of course, for helping us with all of our research, to Dr. Coomer for all the help and instruction on consulting skills and best practices. And with that, we'll show you a little bit of what we did. So as we mentioned, we started working on this at the start of the fall semester, and we actually started in a much different place than we ended up in. We originally were asked to investigate the feasibility of building a housing project in Panama. And as you'll see, we pivoted to a different vision for the final project. So I'm going to go through our plan for today. We're going to share a little bit, well, I guess we kind of went over why we're here. We want to show you what we did. We want to share some of the things we found helpful in our research. And we hope to help other businesses in Maryland who are looking to begin to export or export more. We'll be going into our final recommendations to Insight. Then we'll sort of rewind and we'll go through where we started in the semester, the research we did, and how we got to that endpoint. So just to show you what we recommended to Insight, our final recommendations were a mixed-use housing project, so real estate, in the city of Puebla, Mexico. And we hope these images give you a taste of what we have in mind. On the upper left, you can see a street in the historic district, which is the location we ended up recommending for this project. It's a really beautiful historic area, and it's been internationally recognized. It is a UNESCO heritage site. We are also showing you a picture on the upper right, which shows you a housing project which is not in Puebla, but it's in Mexico City, which is pretty close. It's about a 2-hour drive away. And there you can see they've taken this beautiful historic home, kept a lot of the historic elements, and also redeveloped it into a mixed-use project with some modern aspects to it. So that is one way that this project could look, or something similar to it, upon completion. On the bottom, these are not plans we've drawn up. This is just an example of how one could develop a mixed-use project, which would sit in nicely in a historic neighborhood without destroying sort of the ambiance and integrity of that neighborhood. So the reason why we settled on Puebla, it's a really great city. It is very artsy. It's got a ton of universities. It's pretty safe. It's about the same size as Dallas in population. It's actually got fewer homicides than Dallas. And it seems like a really fun and vibrant place. As we mentioned, the historic district is a UNESCO site. It's already mixed use, so a mixed use project would fit in really well there. And in speaking with many of the stakeholders, and especially those local to Puebla, we discovered that there's somewhat of a gap in housing, and Puebla is a city that could use more moderate or affordable homes. So that gave us some insight into what the city might need and led us to recommend targeting university students, recent graduates, and potentially expats who would like to retire there. We also found out in our conversations with stakeholders that the DFC is very supportive of projects in southern Mexico, which was a big factor in our decision. And based on our conversations with local stakeholders, we think the local government is likely to be helpful in making sure certain sites are zoned the way the project would need to be zoned, potentially offering other incentives to someone who is willing to help revitalize the zone. And finally, we made some recommendations in terms of commercial tenants. We would like something that is very much a community hub. So we're envisioning something like a cafe, a fitness space, perhaps a food hall, or a co-working center. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bola to talk a little bit more about the vision before we kind of rewind and show you where we started and how we got here.
Thank you, Amelia. So I wanted to get into the big picture for developing an entry strategy for a chosen country for export. So for Insight Engineering Project, we explored Puebla, Mexico. The major components of our entry strategy were establishing a feasible project that you can package and concisely communicate to the various stakeholders in your project ecosystem, exploring all financing options available to your organization and engaging local stakeholders who will be involved in the project. These components combined strengthen the success of your project. So just looking more specifically into Insight's mixed-use housing project, their project not only presented a promising return on investment, but it also included a social layer. The social layer impact is important because a project cannot be successful without a local community buy-in. And so national and international stakeholders are more interested in investing in a project that will have positive economic, environmental, and social returns. So after we have established a feasible project, you will then want to start engaging into potential financing institutions to leverage risk. There are many institutions that provide project and working capital financing. I have included a couple here. So the U.S. Development Financing Corporation, the Export-Import Bank, and the Small Business Administration, to name a few. And lastly, it is important to engage local stakeholders in the export region for reason of choice for comprehensive project planning and risk mitigation. We will talk more about the stakeholders that Insight has connected with further along in this presentation. Thank you. Next slide.
Great. So thank you, Bola. In the next few slides, we're going to summarize how we approach the project. As Amelia mentioned, we really pivoted from our initial scope, and we had a focus on Panama in the first client meeting that we had engaged with Tony and his team from Insight. And we ended up with Puebla, and so in Mexico. So how did that came about? Obviously, doing our due diligence work to explore the expat housing in a target country, we had to set a baseline. And with that said, the baseline is comprised of several factors that I will show in the next slide. However, we had to kind of pitch Panama against some other cities and countries to make sure that we picked the best target city for the company that would result in the return of investment as well as the proposed project for Insight. As we did that, we found out, by narrowing our focus, from the multiple country kind of lens, with a baseline that I will show in the next slide, as I said, and zoomed into Mexico. The way we got to Mexico is that we found out that Panama might have, a good economic standing, very good, infrastructure. However, when you looked at, the various factors such as, the export priorities by U.S. Development Finance Corporation, for example, or, current discussion with the commercial specialists that we were engaged with in Mexico, it seemed like that Mexico was a better partner for our client to do so. With that said, we zoomed into Mexico and we analyzed the city and its logistics. We went through the economics of the city. We pivoted, those characters against other countries and figuring out whether it is still a good solution. On top of that, we solicited opinion from our government agency, which is the U.S. Development Finance Corporation, and gathered the priorities of that agency. On top of that, as Bola mentioned, we then further investigated the opportunity and solicited and the information from our commercial specialists that we were put in contact with, and moved on. So let me show you from a due diligence perspective, not numbers, but really from a ranking, what we did next. Next slide, thank you. So based on comparison, included basically 5 components. We went through various research and websites, kind of figuring out our best criteria. So we contemplated definitely the ease of doing business, the cost of living in those countries, the safety component, which was a very high priority component of our client. Obviously, infrastructure is important because you have to get goods to the country, but also if you want to target a population especially the US expats, how's the infrastructure looking, going in and out of Mexico, but all in and out of the country. And then obviously when talking about international business, we also need to focus on corruption. And we use various websites to do this. We look at the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, Department of Commerce, obviously. We investigated, as I said, did the research with our partners in the DFC, the Exim Bank, and of course the State Department. And so we came up with this matrix where we ranked our broader scope of countries. And in red, you can see how we, in the first line, how we ranked Panama. And you can see it was not the most favorable outcome when we compared them to other countries. And you can see from line 3, that's Mexico, right? Mexico has favorable ease of doing business, fairly good cost of living, safety, infrastructure, and yeah, corruption, it wasn't the highest scored, but same token, the other 4 felt like with the note from our partner at the ITA, I think, or the DSC really highlighted the fact that Mexico and the southern area of Mexico was the agency's priority. Hence, with that said, we figured, even though other countries like Chile and Colombia fared really well in some of the typical criteria that you would think you want to have business, doing business easier, we settled with Mexico on that fact. So with that said, I'm going to hand over to Kevin, who's going to talk about development opportunity.
Thank you, Wong. So we had our vision, we had our general criteria and some background knowledge of the area. So now it was up to us to kind of create those opportunities that we can turn this vision into a reality. And we did that by first engaging the DFC, because we knew that we wanted to partner with them in this for their financing and resources. So a little background on DFC. They're focused on financing highly developmental projects in low income and low to middle income countries with a focus on health, food security, and energy. And as Wong mentioned in our call with DFC, we found out that Panama was not one of the countries that they were interested in expanding their operations in. Their short list of countries in the area, in the Latin American area, included Honduras, El Salvador. Actually, if you can go back one, please. Colombia and Southern Mexico, with Colombia and Southern Mexico being the highest ranked for DFC for expanding their operations. We also found that a social component of any project was a big deal for DFC. And while we always wanted to include some sort of community development in our project, DFC's list really helped us narrow down and identify things that we could do and could take on in this project in order to make the project more acceptable to DFC to provide financing. Some of those things for DFC include job creation, introduction of new technologies, innovative processes, impacting an underserved population, and a really big one for them was supporting women and women-owned businesses. Next slide. So taking down our list and narrowing it down into the 4 countries that DFC had priority for in the region, we really saw that Southern Mexico and Colombia stood out with their higher rankings compared to Honduras and El Salvador in all of our criteria. And ultimately, we decided to go with Southern Mexico. And now I'll turn it over to Jimmy to talk about stakeholders and partners.
Thanks, Kevin. So for our team and on this project, we really wanted to establish partners and stakeholders, and that was one of the main focuses that we had. Really, in this case, and for any project, when you start thinking about shifting globally, this becomes an even more important aspect to consider. So while the number of partners and stakeholders will likely increase with an international opportunity, that doesn't necessarily mean that the undertaking for establishing those types of connections will become more complex. For our team, really, we were provided with a few contacts initially to begin the process. And for us, the Maryland Center of Global Business was really one that helped us get the ball rolling. Through the center, we were able to connect with the Maryland DOC. And this was an initial contact that really helped us with thinking through the project and what types of specific goals we had in mind for it. And additionally, while not actually something that we began the process with, the Gold Key program is definitely something we felt important to mention. That was definitely the sort of things that was a major benefit for our client that we were consulting with, and I know the benefits of that program were discussed earlier, and definitely were something that were kind of as an applicable thing for a lot of different companies. From there, that we were able to begin seeking out other connections. By working with Martin, we were able to gain a number of contacts that were actually really, really helpful for us in the project. And once we got those initial connections, the amount of information and the perspective that we gained was really something that helped us move things forward. Next slide. So to go further in depth, when we were starting to go and make these connections, we really had to think about the full totality of the project and where we saw everything going. So really, to begin, we started off with the local perspective and then began looking outward. Starting with our client, we had to consider a number of different groups that would be impacted by the expansion. With connecting with each government office, we really we were helped to consider all the different priorities and the risks involved with this type of project as well. So from there, we were able to learn even more about our international target market. And as we got connected with individuals in Mexico, we got their kind of thinking on everything and how they might be impacted and the kind of things they would like to see from a project like this. So to reiterate, the contexts that we were able to establish were really important for us and for the project. We needed their insights, and we were able to gain a lot of information on many topics that we weren't really very familiar with. Through these connections, we definitely learned a lot about project financing, and then we also learned as well about the government priorities for exporting services. And actually, additionally, we gained a lot of information as well about the target market from people that were based there in Puebla. So while it was definitely a wide range of contexts that we spoke with, and we have listed off a number of acronyms, whether it be the DFC or the ITA or XM or whoever else, it was definitely very easy to work with all these groups. And we were able to get in touch with them pretty easily, and were able to learn so much that once we made that contact, we were able to gain a lot more confidence with what we were going forward with. So while it was initially what we thought might have been a confusing task, it definitely became more approachable through the help of these people that we spoke with. So with that, I'll toss it over to Bola for our next piece.
Thank you, James. Since we have taken a look at the entire ecosystem of stakeholders that James just presented, the entire ecosystem that Insight has engaged with, we can now discuss a little bit about how to establish in-country partnerships or in-country connections. This is a process flow. Currently, you're looking at a visualization that is illustrating one of the ways Insight can go about establishing in-country partnerships. Here, Insight will first connect with their local Export Assistance Center. So for businesses registered in Maryland, that would be the Baltimore office. So previously, Andrew just previously presented, and so he'd be a great point of contact. So starting connections with the Baltimore office. And then next, through the Gold Key program, they will connect you with in-country industry-specific commercial specialists who can provide on-the-ground information regarding market conditions. For example, when we spoke to the industry specialist in Mexico when we were working on this project, he was able to tell us how the design and construction industry was affected by COVID-19 and what the nation's recovery plan could potentially look like based on his industry knowledge. And that helped a lot in terms of planning for us during this project. These commercial specialists have portfolios and can potentially connect you with local partners that are interested in your project vision. And this will make the doing business locally easier in terms of navigating economic, cultural, and societal differences. So the key takeaway for this visual and for this slide is that leveraging trade agencies and resources such as the International Trade Administration and the Maryland Department of Commerce in order to connect you to U.S. embassies and to local partners in your region of choice will really assist you in increasing the chances of success for your international project. And so for that, I will now pass it over to my colleague, Kevin, who will talk about externalities and risks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll take the slide, Kevin. So unfortunately, we had one of our MBA teammate had to drop because of a work commitment that came up. So we'll pitch in. But thank you, Paula. So obviously, when you learn in business school, it's not only look at the strengths and opportunities you have, but you got to look at some of the risks that poses a business and doing a business, especially when you go outside of the United States. And given the fact that we are in a COVID environment and during this pandemic, we have seen a lot of these economic shortcomings in either here in the United States or abroad. We felt it was important to kind of point that out. Secondly, we want to point out, the government itself and the role that it plays in this and how much the current environment would have played into our clients' expansion. And also from a financial point of view, on this slide, you'll see that the commitment on that is important to consider and how many factors or risks they could pose. So if I go to the first tower on the left-hand side with COVID, obviously the economic stability has been is a little bit shattered in the last 6, 7 to 10 months or so of this year. Mexico was put at a risk level by the CDC at level 4, which is not very rosy. However, not however, but and on top of that, we've seen since we took on this project that the COVID cases has risen in Q3 and Q4. With that said, economically, the GDP also dropped in country from our target in our target market. We were at 18.9%. And in the industry activity, dropped to almost 26%, and as part of the unemployment rate, it was 2.9%. What we then saw is that in Q3, that the GDP actually made the turn through a lot of the lockdowns and measures that either local governments, including the Mexican government, took. GDP apparently increased to 17.1%, which is a good 180 degree turn, and the industrial activities also increased by 22%. Unemployment, however, was a little bit going high up due to the fact that a lot of countries, went through this economic stability. However, what are we seeing? For inside our client, we think that there's upside, and not being, it's being cautiously optimistic. We think that the economic environment is starting to improve. We talked to some local partners, and it seems like that the housing market, for example, in Mexico itself was strong in prior to COVID, and is holding steady. And given the fact that there's a vaccine on the horizon for the world, to the US and also Mexico, we think that this could come hopefully back to normal with the strong housing demand in the country. As a second point of risk, we want to talk about a little bit of government, which I mentioned earlier. Given the fact that there are federal and state involvements, we have seen spending cuts on both levels, and that made obviously the limited public funding available, especially in our housing domain. And it was a tough environment to engage in a public-private partnership here. However, as the upside we see is that the government obviously is engaged in FDIs and lend grants out to local businesses in country and that could make an export product such as the inside companies housing project lucrative and available to go into a country. From a finance perspective, we have seen that there are limited numbers of in-country partners given the economic environment and the challenges that been given to the economies and as well the local prioritizations. It also is obviously increasingly difficult to obtain a credit due to the high cost of credit for in-country partners. But with that said, from a positive, more optimistic look, we think that our local partners that we engage with has shown that there is an increasing appetite for foreign partnerships. And with that said, we concluded that Mexico has a high appetite for foreign direct investments and private investments, and that will ease the barrier for our company, any company, in this case for our client Insight Engineering, to enter the market. With that, I'm going to continue, hand it over to Kevin, who speaks on more in depth about the financing part.
Yeah, thanks, Wong. So other ways that we can help hedge financial risk is providing getting long-term financing through the DFC. So long-term financing, get that low rate locked in for up to 30 years, between 5 and 30 years. We've got super low interest rates right now. You want to lock those in if possible. The big thing I want to highlight here is the political insurance risk. You can, if you know the industry, you can put in underwrite for all of the revenues and expected costs that but you can never really estimate what's going to happen politically in a country, especially a country that maybe you've never even visited, but you probably definitely have not lived in. So getting political insurance risk insurance is a very big beneficial item here. Additionally, just having another set of eyes looking at your project, they're gonna be looking at it because they need to make sure that they're underwriting something that is viable, and they'll create a feasibility study for you. So just having that additional set of eyes on your project can be helpful whenever you need to make sure that, oh, maybe I'm missing something here and someone else is going to catch it. That's valuable there. Next slide. And then making sure everything goes smoothly on the ground. You really want to make sure that you are involving all the stakeholders that you can in order to mitigate real world risk. You can insure for financial risk, but to make sure things go smoothly on the ground, you have to have buy-in from the community. And one of the ways we can do that is investing in infrastructure. So street lighting, burying electric cables, restoration and preservation of landmarks, getting benefits to the community through affordable housing, sidewalks, creating parks and local partnerships with charities and nonprofits, as well as social responsibility, alleviating some of the income inequality in the community, and involving, for instance, the architectural firms. We spoke to the local university about using some of their students, much like how Insight Engineering is utilizing the resource of MBA students at UMD to do some analysis on this project. They're looking into utilizing the architectural students at the local university in Puebla in order to design the mixed-use housing operation there. So that way they really take ownership of it, and it's really a community-led initiative. And it's not just some foreigners coming in trying to dictate how they think things should go in someone else's hometown. You really need to make sure the community is involved. Next slide. All right, so now we're going to provide some helpful resources as well as some tips and tricks that we used in order to make this project go smoother. So the first thing is you want to have a vision in mind of what you want to accomplish and define your decision criteria. You need to know what kind of risks you're willing to accept and what kind you aren't, as well as you need to know what you are trying to accomplish there before you can ask for help. So for targeting research, use search engines. The internet is a wonderful resource if you know how to use it. For instance, with search engines, if you type in just a word, you're going to get everything related to it. But if you actually put quotes around it, you are going to have a requirement that any search results that pop up must include that word or phrase. You don't have to do all your research on your own. Existing research from NGOs and trade organizations, they're there to help. They want this industry, your industry, to succeed. So lean on them. And then ultimately, you can do all this research from afar, but it helps to have some different level of perspective from someone who is on the ground, lives and works there every single day. So talk to as many people on the ground as you can. You need to realize that a lot of things are going to be happening all at the same time. We were trying to get an idea of what kind of project we wanted to build and develop in Puebla, while at the same time we were getting feedback from people on the ground saying, well, you have to include this, you have to include that. And we're also researching other locations. So it's not as simple as you do step A, then you move on to step B, then you move on to step C. A lot of stuff comes together all at the same time. And that's actually good because it gives you a chance to revisit your prior notions of what you thought the situation was before and to reevaluate and redesign with the better knowledge that you have now. Developing relationships and being culturally sensitive. Business is about developing and maintaining relationships. A lot of the communications we sent out to people in Latin America, we had to step back and think and ask ourselves, are we being too American in this email? We wanted to get straight to the point, but we knew that that wouldn't actually get us very far or as far as if we took things slow, made our introductions, talked a little bit with the stakeholders, and then got into business. Just understand that wherever you're trying to do business, it probably has some differences than how we do business in America. And just take those into account and understand that you're going to have to account for them. Being flexible. Again, not everything is what you think it's going to be whenever it starts. Things come up in your research. You find out that you can't go to your primary location, your initial location. So you've got to go somewhere else. That's part of it. You just have to seize the opportunities wherever they present themselves. Next slide. And here are some helpful resources that we may not have mentioned earlier and what they do. So the World Bank, doing business in, it assesses the ease of doing business in all of these different countries. They have a ranking system and they have in-depth analysis on how they came to these rankings. The World Economic Forum, they're on global competitiveness. It provides a holistic approach to how a country stands competitively compared to other countries. The Census Schedule B helps you understand your commodity classification to find out if there's any tariffs related to the good or service you're trying to export. Trade Stats Express gives you historical trends for commodities if you're in the commodity business. Country commercial guides, market conditions, opportunities, regulations, and business customs, lays it all out there for you. PPP Knowledge Lab, specifically if you're trying to do an infrastructure project or public-private partnership, this is where you want to go to find out information on past, present, and upcoming projects that they have in mind. The CIA World Factbook, it is a combined resource for political, social, and economic data. That's a government resource. You have the CIA on your side whenever doing your market research. And then the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD countries. They provide economic data, GDP, population, and employment whenever you're trying to assess what sort of market you want to go into and what the benefits and drawbacks are there. Next slide. And Martin, if we're the last presentation, then we could probably go into the question round right now.
All right, before you guys get into it, you guys, I mean, I'm not gonna start giving you guys the accolades, but I'll let the audience tell us what they think here. But my God, what a fantastic job. Before we go further, I wanna give Dr. Kumber a chance to make a quick remark. Dr. Kumber, where are you?
Hi.
All right, can you
Okay.
share a good 1 or 2 words with us, please?
Sure. Yeah, hi, just wanted to say a great job to the students. I'm the faculty member for the course, so I work really closely with Marina. When you come to the center to scope out a project, we actually work together to come up with something that will be appropriate and fit the students' needs. And then we coach them on the back end, less with the international stuff because we get a lot of support through MDOC and through the Center for Global Initiatives. But we coach a lot on the kind of actual consulting aspect. And what's great is we have a long history of doing projects similar to this. And so there's a lot of resources that we can build on, former students and that sort of thing. And it's a pleasure to do this work every semester and, really invite anyone who's interested to reach out to us and to work with us. We're happy to help.
Thank you, Doc. The importance of this is for you guys to understand that these students have people like Dr. Kumba behind, to support them. And sometimes you're going to question, why should I spend $1, $1,000, $2,000? Well, I don't know. You do the math based on what you've seen today. It's not our job to make that decision for you, but we have looked at the nature, the terrain of doing business globally. I've been very fortunate to come around a little bit, and we feel confident that this strategy, we want to call it the Netflix, the Uber, we want it to be disruptive. You're going to see a whole lot more. So going forward, before the questions start, I want to give another opportunity to any of our federal partners. Raise your hand so we could call you. I know we had SBA and others. I don't know who joined or not. But anyway, if nobody else wants to raise their hand for quick comments, we are now in our question and answer session. Before we get that, you will raise your hand and you'll be called up. I know Gail, Jennifer, please. Gail.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gail Jennifer. I'm with the accounting firm Brown and Company, and we are federal government contractors. And we have providing services to the federal government since 1995. And we are exploring opportunities to provide our services internationally. So I would like to be considered as a resource for those who would like to start a teaming arrangement with Brown and Company, or to start a prototype project with Brown and Company. And as I mentioned, we do have a lot of experience with federal agencies, and we have also worked with USAID, which is a large federal agency that provides a lot of financial aid to foreign countries. So, thank you.
Fantastic. I think John Mason is next. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you very much, Martin. And to your executives there, certainly you've done a lot of hard work, and it's obvious that you put a lot of insight into this. This is extremely valuable information, and I'm certain all the businesses that are on the line right now can see the value of what you have, just what you produced for the Tony Voss project. Now, I've got a question about trying to engage local equity partners in some of these areas where these businesses are trying to do business. And I may have come up during the course of the presentation. I had to actually step away for just a few minutes, so you may have discussed this. But did you consider local equity investors that may want to get involved? And someone mentioned very eloquently that you want to make sure you got that buy-in. Also, you're using local folks down there in Mexico. to be a part of the project. They can take some ownership. I like the way you put that. But in terms of just equity investors that are really looking for opportunities to do business with American companies anyway, I mean, you're really bringing the product to them, kind of makes it a little more convenient for them to get involved and getting, really involved. How do you approach and what resources do you have to allow those companies, those businesses to really have some close connection with equity for some of these projects? Local equity.
Any takers? Philip, I know Tony, the students, anybody that wants to take on that, you can raise your hand real quick and we'll give you the opportunity.
I'll take that. This is Tony Vaz. John, we have been, we're doing real estate development projects locally here. So we're talking to a lot of high net worth folks locally, and this will just be an addition to their project. There will be a capital stack. The way we are approaching these projects is we're not paying any money for the land. It's going to be a ground lease, a public-private partnership, or a special purpose vehicle. If we have to pay money for the land to purchase, we wouldn't be interested in doing these projects. There are opportunities. A lot of these Latin American countries are starting to look at public-private partnerships. And this has been done throughout Asia, and they're starting to get on top of it. It's similar to the projects we're working on with the faith-based communities in Maryland and Virginia right now, where we're going in for a 55-year ground lease. We're building everything up, and we're sharing the equity of the cash flow on the project. So those projects are done through HUD financing and LIHTC credits. We are talking to some folks that are higher worth individuals that might be interested in investing in this, but always remember, we're not paying for the land on these. These are ground leases that we partnered with local partners in country. And we already started talking to, they're actually identified 5 different sites already. So with this information, we've had 3 meetings already with the local partners in Puebla, and they are moving forward with meetings with the local government agencies, local universities that have access land that want to do development projects. So that is our ammunition as far as financing is concerned, but we can always prepare a package if other people are interested in investing in these projects.
So I'm speaking about investors. Hopefully let me clarify a little bit. So if I'm a billionaire in Mexico and I hear about, some of the things that you're working on, and I don't want to get on some of that action, and I'm already down there in Pueblo, I'm looking for opportunities to do development projects and whatnot, and I want a piece of the action, then I'm just talking about how do we can make those connections to engage those. And I think you did answer the question, because you said those people that are at the table, inclusive of the universities and the government or what have you, I would venture to say probably some venture folks are at the table also that are already local.
Absolutely. That's where the U.S. Department of Commerce with the Go Key services and so forth will introduce us to folks like that too.
Sure.
And our local partners would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right, Tony, we have a question. What is the land? What is the land, I guess, what is the land offered as equity? I think that's the question. What is the land offered as equity? Tony, that's that question addressed to you, I think.
So the land is, it's like, let's look at, let me give you an example of the projects we're doing in Prince George's County, for example. We got churches that have land that's sitting fallow for the last 30 years. And they happen to be zoned for senior housing, and we have an affordable housing crisis in this country. So we approach these churches and we package a deal together with the church and the congregation and with their the board of directors, and we go in and we get in on a ground lease for 55 years, where we come up with all the funding for all the pre-development costs and all the entitlements costs. And we build their building with partners like Whiting Turner. And we use folks like AGM out of Baltimore that's syndicators for HUD financing, and the Concourse group out of Annapolis that does the LIHTC funding for us. And we put this capital stack together and we build the project, and we have operators on the project, that operate this for 55 years and pay the revenue, pay back the HUD loan. And it's a model that works because there's a lot of checks and balances. Using government funding, and there's LIHTC funding, which you got to qualify for. So when you have projects like this, and it can be done with a 55-year ground lease, and it's a socially impactful project because development has not taken place there for over 44 years, the open opportunity zones. So that model can be duplicated overseas too. It's a matter of, they don't have as many regulations as we do over here. But ultimately, it's about the math. It's about falling in with making sure that the local partners need, meeting their criteria as to what they want in their backyards, what is lacking. And a lot of it could be, one of the projects we're looking at is affordable housing for the students, for the expat professors, and for the expat community to be in the same neighborhood in Puebla. So they've already identified the land. So in that sense, we would be getting a ground lease from the university to build on their project. And we would share in a revenue sharing program. Maybe 25% goes back to the university, 75% comes to the developers. And when we do it over a 55-year ground lease. So that's how we work these projects out here in the US, and we intend to duplicate it over there.
Yeah, so if we were to step back, this is Hoang, part of the MBA team. The ground lease itself, I think, is specific to the project that Tony has, right? But if you were a business with in a different industry, I think one of the takeaways that we mentioned earlier is you have to come up with a vision. I think that's why we start off our presentation. The vision is very important, no matter what industry you're in. What you talked about were specific financing options, but if you have to go and pitch this to a venture capitalist, you have to come with a vision. You got to define your criteria and define what you're trying to accomplish, and then you can go and research the tactics of ground lease in the specific of a housing project. So I think the takeaway that we, as the advisor or the client partner here to Tony and team, were really to go in after a vision. That's how we set up the first day of our project. We figure out what are the assumptions behind this and how you can make this work. And then throughout this project, we go into the specifics and the tactics, such as the ground lease or talking to in-country local partners and governments to get you the financing, or talking to your US government agencies that can provide financing or guarantees or the underwriting that you need. So I think your question specific is more the tactic, but I think broader, I think the strategy and the vision needs to be coming up first before you go down that path. That would be our takeaway, having done this project.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Can we call on Andrew Johnson? Can we put the camera on Andrew Johnson? All right, go ahead, please.
Hi, thanks. So my name is Andre. I'm an animator / 3D modeler, and this is just a general question to the MBA students, anyone else who'd like to answer. What do when you think of animated films, you have on one end, you have Disney, you have Pixar, and then on the other end, you have these literally thousands of YouTube videos for kids that are animated. What do you think? Do you think there's a potential for an animated short series or web series for tweens, kind of not the same, but for similar to, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dora the Explorer. It's something I'm thinking of doing, or I've started creating and developing, but I'm looking at the options that are available, whether or not there is a market out there. And I just wanted to get your insight.
I'll try to answer this. I think none of us are experts in animation, but we'll do our best. I think if the series is well done, if you identify a target market and you're able to market to it successfully, I think there's a lot of potential for many types of entertainment, including potentially your series. I think it's, like Wong mentioned, a matter of defining your vision and making sure you've got a solid strategy, translating that strategy to tactics, and then executing.
Do you think there's a market, I think for better word, for sponsors for this kind of product per se? I mean, you have tons of companies that are doing that. But I just want to get a general idea. For example, let's give an example. My son, he's 4 years old. He loves planes. He will watch planes all the time flying. He loves radio control planes. And whenever we would watch, I forget the name of it, some generic animated YouTube show, you have all these videos come on that were really kind of random and almost seemed geared towards the parents versus the kids. But once we changed to this this RC video, and it was produced in Germany. In Germany, they have this huge following of folks who produce like small scale versions of aircraft. And the very first commercial that comes on every single time is a BMW commercial. Every single time. So I'm trying to get an idea of, one, is it feasible? Two, what's the best way to get into that market? For me, I'm thinking, obviously, based on what I'm seeing, BMW is sponsoring these groups of this particular group of folks who are producing these RC, these radio controlled animated, these radio controlled shows about radio controlled planes. It's just like they have these little festivals, and all these folks come, and you'll see a small scale Boeing 777 or a fighter jet. My son loves fighter jets. He loves the F-16, I think it is, but whatever. But you see where BMW has obviously sponsored this group to produce these videos of just people flying radio control planes that they have built. So I'm thinking, looking at it made me think about, hey, I do this animation, I do modeling. Where would I go? Who should I think of going to sponsor this or promote it? And where would it be promoted to? These shows are produced in Germany, but I'm here in College Park watching it, and it's being sponsored by BMW. That, of course, is sold here. So, yeah.
Martin, this is Fausto. Can I jump in there?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Andre, that's a great question. I like your question because I'm Tony's partner. By the way, I'm Fausto. I'm out in California. I'm working with the students as well on this project in Puebla, Mexico. One of the reasons that we selected this city is there's a lot of other activities in the city that make it a great city. Like this is where all the Volkswagen cars are made in Mexico. I believe you have Mazda and Audi is there as well. And so you have a mixed culture of different foreigners, international students. And the big thing, and I'm gonna go towards your question now, is the history of the city. This is where the Battle of Puebla happened with the French. There's a lot of history, just like you have in in say the East Coast of the United States. So this history is plus 200 years old, and we have museums and churches that are 300 to 500 years old. So I like your idea of the animation, for doing stories, but when we go after these projects, like say in our case, a development architectural project with the local community, we're also meeting other folks along the way that have other interests. For example, Claudia, who's one of the local partners in Puebla, who's also a teacher, an instructor at the university there called UTLAP, which is the University of Las Americas Puebla. She's also an instructor. Her husband is German, and there's a whole relationship to the auto industry because we know Claudia. So we're always looking for this networking. How do we connect with the other folks in the area? I wanted to share one quick story, and then I'll jump off. When I was there in Puebla, some of the missions that were built by the Spaniards when they were there in Puebla, they used the local Indian tribe and native tribes to build these temples, these churches, these cathedrals that are amazing, gold plated and just full of marble and gold and silver. In one of the particular churches, the tour guide was telling us that there was these figurines within the walls and the paintings of the walls, and they couldn't figure out why they were there. But the reason that they were there is because the natives were having trouble letting go of their own gods. So as they were being converted to Christianity and Catholicism, they still wanted to have a little bit of their history and their culture, and they hid it in the picture or the drawing that was in the wall, in the mural. So even though it was a mural that represented a new religion for them, they still had their culture embedded in the mural. What I'm getting at is animation and creativity go hand in hand, right? So can you make a story about that? Of course you can make a story about that. But we picked that location because we can network with those folks. We can look at the history. I mean, they have a brand new Baroque museum, one of the internationally renowned. And so we know there's other things that we will look at in the future. We're just looking at a stepping stone project. The ideas from there, we're going to step stone to other things. But now this meeting that Martin and his team put together brings you, Andre, into the network itself. So thank you for bringing on the meeting. Maybe we could collaborate, connect you with the local folks there that, I'm sure they have an animation and theater department and I can hook you up with them as well. So we are always looking to partner up and helping each other. That's why we're here. I think that's what his team is promoting. And we're all a team. Anybody who's on this meeting is a team. So thank you, Martin.
Thank you very, very much, Andre. That was fantastic. I'm going to
just before
have, Andre, you may have it, but I'm going to let everybody know we're going to do this in February 16th or something like that. We're going to keep you posted. But Philip and Jawusi, I know you have a comment. Where is Philip? Put the camera on him.
Okay, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thanks so much, Martin and your team and EDC for putting this together. And Tony Vaz, thank you very much, and your partner for this. And to the MBA team, this is fantastic, extremely insightful, very, very engaging. For me, I'm an architect. I'm the managing partner for PAN Services. We are architectural engineering and infrastructure development company based in DC with office here in Largo at the Innovation Station. So we really look forward to engaging these other MBA teams within this Smith School of Business for of course, through the EDC for some of our projects, because I think this is a super project. Tony, I think you did a fantastic job doing it this way. I think for me, as an architect developer, it takes you need all of these pieces to really put together a very responsive development. I mean, interesting how they engage the locals and then bring them into the whole piece to make them all buy into the project, which is how any development, a successful development happens. So I think this is fantastic. I just wanted to put that comment, make that comment, and then again, thanks to all of you who put this together.
Excellent. Thank you, Philip. Okay. Any other question? I know that Andre, you sounded like you wanted to make another remark, but does anybody else have any questions, any comments? You can just raise your hand. All right.
Yeah, I did want to just make one.
Sure, go ahead, please.
And that was to, I believe was Mr. Reyes' point about partnerships. And I have thought about that, how to expand my ideas to include or to embed other partners into this TV series. And just one thing I had thought about, given its popularity, and given that I thought it'd be a good gift for my son too, was drones. In the TV show, one of the central characters is a spaceship. And so one of the ideas I had was to find a partnership or develop a partnership with a company that produced drones, and therefore include merchandising of this drone that is a character in the series. So okay. I absolutely agree with Rhea's point, and I would love to talk because I know that's one of the ways the ways to go from 0 to 60 per se.
Sure,
and
sure.
So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, yeah, we'll connect you with the university also. Thank you so much about that. Josh, okay. Chibueze Izubo. Chibueze, I know you wanted to say something. You guys can put him on. Chibueze Izubo. CHIBUEZE. Chibueze, go ahead.
Thank you, the entire team. It was a very lovely job you did, and coming from international, coming from Nigeria, and seeing what the MBA students could do over there is more encouraging. Being that we're also intending to launch our business operation fully in the US, to be a good partnership to have with the MBA students and the university. So we'll look forward to hopefully more engagement with the company. And
excellent. Thank you so much, Chibueze. So these are all companies that have expressed interest in continuing this program. Is going to be monthly, starting from February. Both Andre, Philip, Josh, all of you guys, these bright students, they've done a very good job. Most of them have careers, they have jobs, but they can reach out to you. If there's a fit, if there's interest. The whole idea here is Tony, Philip, everybody who's here, we're going to be having this regularly, so that way it's not just a one-off. This is how we plan to do this, so that way you're going to follow these projects. It's going to be more projects that will come to the fold. You're going to see how these projects play out internationally. The truth, the glitches, the headaches, all of that stuff. That's what this is all about. So I don't want you to go home and think, oh yeah, I had this with EDC last year, whatever happened. No, but it's up to you to come on board. Reach out to me and the rest of EDC team. We want to hold your hands and make sure that we change the conversation a little bit. Anybody else? Well, we still have a few more minutes here.
I just want to say something to Andre. You know, one of the things that you might want to do is reach out to the film school at USC in Southern California, University of Southern California. Just tell them what you're trying to do. It's the best film school in the country. Reach out, do some research on the professors and send them an email. You'd be surprised how much people want to help you out. So don't dismiss that. They're all into diversity right now. And I think that this is an opportunity, but we got to do our part. We got to do our prospecting and put our pitch deck together and look really professional when you do that. So,
USC, all right, I will.
Yeah, and Andre, reach out. Let's connect with the university. Let's think through. It sounds like a very interesting project, and I think we can talk to you after this, a day or two.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. All right, anybody else? Okay, I will take it that we're going to wrap up. It's been a wonderful, I hope there are no questions that we didn't touch. I hope everybody is okay. Thank you all. The students, you guys have done a fantastic job. Cannot thank you enough. We're looking forward to continuing. We're gonna follow you guys throughout the MBA program and going forward. And then this will serve as an example with everybody else who is looking to go global. Jordan, I know you're there. Do you want to pop in and say thank you if you can? You've done a very good job behind the scenes. Are you there? Okay, probably may not be able to. So thank you, everyone. With no further ado, I think this has been a very good event. You're going to be hearing from us. If you have any feedbacks, reach out to us. If you need any of this information, reach out to us. Thank you, Tony, MBA students from University of Maryland. Thank you for your great partnership. We're looking forward to continuing this effort. This is the beginning. That's what I want everybody to walk away with. This is the beginning. Thank you all. And with that said, I think we conclude this session. Thank you all.
thank you, Martin.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Martin, great job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the support, John.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I think, okay.